The leader of the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, was killed by Israel on Wednesday night in the Gaza Strip. The Venezuelan government accused the Spanish National Intelligence Center, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Central Intelligence Agency of recruiting mercenaries to destabilize the Bolivarian nation. And a new report issued by the United Nations on Thursday says that more than 1 billion people live in acute poverty in the world today. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with news. Of the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas, Yahya Sinwar was killed by Israel on Wednesday night in the Gaza Strip. The organization confirmed Sinwar's assassination during confrontations alongside his fighters in the Tal al-Sultan area on Rafah. Israeli authorities made a claim earlier on Thursday, which was then backed by an address from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The authorities informed that a force of the 828th Brigade, which operated in southern Gaza, identified and eliminated 3 fighters, and afterward, DNA testing had to be used to positively identify the body. Sinwar, who became the organization's head after the Zionist regime killed former leader Ismail Haniyeh during an attack to Iran in July, was allegedly the mastermind behind Hamas' Al-Aqsa flood operation against Israel on October 7, 2023. Let's provide some information on Yahya Sinwar. He was born in the Khan Yunis refugee camp in southern Gaza in 1962. He left Israeli prisons after some 23 years there to the Gaza Strip, loyal to the Free People, like all the leaders before him. He was martyred among his people, wearing his favorite military uniform, carrying his rifle and facing the occupation forces in Rafah. Sinwar became the head of Hamas after Haniyeh was killed in July in an Israeli attack on Iran. Israeli strikes killed at least 28 Palestinians at an UNRWA school sheltering displaced people in Havalia in the northern Gaza Strip. The attacks have been non-stop as northern and central Gaza are the main 2 areas the Israeli military has been focusing on since the early hours of this morning. One of the major attacks on the north of the Strip was conducted on one of the main United Nations-run shelters in Havalia, a refugee camp. According to Gaza's authorities, apart from the 28 confirmed casualties, 160 others were wounded. In this context, the number of United Nations-run facilities targeted since October 2023 has risen to over 190, hit or damaged without any sort of warning. In Lebanon, the Ministry of Health confirmed on Wednesday the first cholera case in the country amid Israeli shellings. The World Health Organization, WHO, warned that the risk of an outbreak is even higher under the current war-like conditions. Furthermore, official sources detailed that the first case is a national who is currently admitted to hospital in the Akkar Governorate. Meanwhile, the Director General of WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, announced that a preparedness and response plan has been approved to strengthen environmental surveillance and water sampling. In addition, the WHO representative in Lebanon, Abdel Nasser Abu Bakr, alerted that if the cholera outbreak reaches displaced people, the disease could spread much more rapidly.
Currently, what we are seeing is actually, the first case has been confirmed, but we've been talking about the risk of cholera for many months, actually, because of the deteriorating water and sanitation situations for the refugees, but also the host communities. As you know, Lebanon for the last few years has been impacted by the financial crisis, and most of the public services, whether it's the electricity, the water establishment, and many of these actually have been, the services has been impacted very severely.
Several international organizations, including the World Health Organization, called on Israel to allow humanitarian aid into northern Gaza to rescue the thousands dying under the rubble and to distribute food and water. For 13 days, the genocidal troops have been besieging the north of the Palestinian enclave. Israel has dropped 75,000 tons of explosives on Gaza. The north has been reduced to rubble that crushes thousands of people who survive while waiting for rescue groups that work with their hands removing tons of rubble because Israel prevents the entry of fuel. Fares Afana, head of emergency services in the north of Gaza, asserts that people are dying of hunger and that Israel is destroying all that is alive. The president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, during the inauguration of the 66th edition of the Arturo Michelena Salon, took the opportunity to repudiate the genocide committed in Palestine and called on artists to denounce these crimes against humanity without fear. The head of state denounced the extermination of the Arab people and emphasized that what the Israeli state is committed against the Palestinians is not only physical extermination but also cultural extermination. The president also repudiated the use of intimidation by Israel and called on the peoples of the world not to give up in the search for peace. Maduro further urged artists to use the different artistic manifestations to support the Palestinian people and to promote peace, harmony, and tolerance for the future of the humanity. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Venezuelan government accused Thursday the Spanish National Intelligence Center, CNI, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, and the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, of recruiting mercenaries to destabilize the Bolivarian nation. The accusation was made during a press conference on national television by the Minister of Interior, Diosdado Cabello, who announced the arrest of a group of individuals recruited to sow violence in the country. Cabello also announced the seizure of 24 U.S.-made assault rifles during the operative and assured that the rights of the detainees will be guaranteed by the Venezuelan justice.
The United States is using the CIA, the D and the CNI as its operative agents. There is no doubt about it. This is a fact and they know it. And they have here in Venezuela and in Colombia these individuals, Álvaro Uribe Vélez, Ivan Simonovis, Carlos Vacheiro, Julio Borges and Maria Corina Machado, and they are not the only ones. They are the leaders of the operations here in Venezuela. We have captured people linked to violence in Colombia, who have acted as recruiters to send terrorists and mercenaries to Venezuela.
The Venezuelan Minister of Interior also revealed that the investigations indicate that the fugitive from Venezuelan justice, Ivan Simonovis, is the coordinator of the arms trafficking.
All these operations have Ivan Simonovis as the coordinating element in the arms trafficking, all of them. Ivan Simonovis has become a mercenary in the arms trade. An arms dealer not only for Venezuela, but also for other parts of the world. Recently some weapons were seized in Bolivia. A lot of weapons and all of them are linked to Ivan Simonovis. That is what he has become, an arms dealer, another mercenary, and he is being protected by the government of the United States. Of course he has been its agent for a very long time.
In Venezuela, Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez denounced that more than 947 unilateral sanctions imposed by the United States and its European allies to destabilize the country. During the meeting with Fede Camera's businessman, the also Minister of Oil described the unilateral measures of the Western Bloc as illegitimate and unlawful since its violation of the country's territorial jurisdiction. She also highlighted that a dialogue in economic issues is needed and is a priority for the country to move forward and also to undertake concrete actions to eliminate inequality gaps. Venezuela is in a process of economic update and it demands currencies, fuel, investments and other goods to guarantee the success of this process, she assured.
Us carry out justice with the workers of our country and our retirees. It's a way to bring happiness and well-being to the people. But for you, it also means boosting the demand of goods that you produce. We have been talking about the virtual circuit, increase the wages and incomes, best demand of goods and services, and we are going to guarantee growth with balance, which is the most important. The growth should happen with a balance.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. A new report issued by the United Nations on Thursday says that more than 1 billion people live in acute poverty in the world today, nearly half of them in countries experiencing conflict. According to the United Nations Development Programme report, countries at war have higher levels of deprivation across all indicators of multidimensional poverty, with more severe disparities in nutrition, access to electricity and access to water and sanitation. On the other hand, the study showed that some 584 million people under 18 were experiencing extreme poverty, accounting for 27.9% of children worldwide, compared with 13.5% of adults. Moreover, child mortality in conflict settings was 8%, compared with 1.1% in peaceful countries. Climate change, together with the ongoing armed conflict in northeastern Nigeria, have resulted in a dramatic increase in cases of severe malnutrition. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, says that this upward trend is a worrying sign that families in the Lake Chad region are struggling to put food on the table. Clinics have reported a 24% increase in the number of young children suffering from malnutrition compared to the previous year. The protracted armed conflict is one of the main drivers behind the deteriorating food crisis. It has displaced millions, destroyed livelihoods, and is severely impacting access to agricultural land. The ICRC estimates that over 6 million people in the Lake Chad region will experience food shortages in the coming month. Nigeria will become one of the first countries to roll out a new malaria vaccine after receiving a first batch of 846,200 doses. The vaccine was developed by scientists at the University of Oxford in England and produced by the Serum Institute of India and Novavax. According to the Nigerian Health Minister Muhammad Ali Pate, the doses represent a significant milestone in the country's efforts to eliminate the disease. Malaria remains a major public health challenge in Nigeria, which has been considered by the World Health Organization as the world's most affected country by the disease, with 31% of its global deaths. A ride-hailing company in Kenya is trying to improve the lives of disabled people by providing them with safe and reliable transport. The AC Mobility, the startup, was co-founded over 3 years ago by Daniel Gatura, who had witnessed the transport challenges faced by his wheelchair-bound father. While Kenya's legal framework promotes inclusivity of people with disabilities, including access to public transport, in practice, these laws often remain unenforced. The United Nations Population Fund says people with disabilities make up 2.2% of Kenya's population, close to 1 million individuals. The most common type of disability is mobility-related, accounting for 42% of cases. For disabled people traveling around Nairobi, services like AC Mobility are a step in the right direction towards making their lives easier. The United Nations organization affirmed that the resurgence of the armed conflict in Sudan is forcing the displacement to Chad of at least 25,000 people in the month of October alone. According to the report, Chad is hosting more than 600,000 displaced Sudanese people, with one of the highest influx being registered during the last week. In addition, the United Nations warned about the number of internally displaced persons, which rounds the 8 million, of which almost 40,000 were registered in the first 2 weeks of the present October. The displacements are caused by increased hostilities between the armed forces and armed groups, which have generated insecurity in the population and a state of social instability. The Wilfredo Lam Contemporary Arts Center, the National Council of Fine Arts, and the Cuban Ministry of Culture will co-sponsor the 15th edition of the Havana Bienal from November 15th to February 28th, 2025. This event of paramount importance in the universe of alternative fine arts aims to contribute to the research, promotion, and recognition of the visual arts of Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The Havana Bienal, founded in 1984, will focus on analyzing its own trajectory, re-evaluating some of the themes there to this festival of visuality, and generating new networks of communication and collaboration. Under the theme Shared Horizons, the 15th edition will emphasize the basic aspirations of connecting and obtaining and giving feedback with and for the creators and the community through the collaboration and promotion of multiple disciplines. Fans around the world are paying tribute to Liam Payne, former member of the British iconic boy band One Direction, who tragically died at 31. In London, residents left flowers and goodbye messages near the photo booth featured on the cover of the band's 2012 album, Take Me Home. The singer-songwriter passed away on Wednesday at age 31 after falling from a hotel balcony in Argentina. He rose to fame when he joined the One Direction band at 16th, when it was created on the TV show The X Factor. It became one of the most successful pop groups worldwide in 2010s. After the group disbanded in 2016, the 5 members went on to pursue solo careers in music. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching. El mundo